It's 94.1 KRNA. We're online at krna.com. Happy Friday, everybody. James Larson alongside Brian Sines, and in the studio now, Your Majesty, the one, the only, Mr. Ron Corbett. How are you, sir?
Doing very well, thank you.
Good to see you. It's been a while since we've had you in the KRNA studios, and I want to delve right into this. On the front page of the Cedar Rapids Gazette today, it says, "Is the fix in for Wildrose Cedar Rapids Casino?" So what's that all about, first of all?
Well, 3 years ago, we applied for a license. The Cedar Crossings did. The whole community got behind that project. Local investors going to put a nice casino on the west side of Cedar Rapids. Was going to help build flood protection. Really had destination, all-inclusive casino, and the Racing and Gaming Commission turned us down. After that, they put in a soft 3-year moratorium. Well, in this 3-year period, Wildrose came forward with a smaller boutique concept casino, and the Cedar Crossings people have responded with a smaller casino too. Well, the Racing and Gaming Commission is getting ready to make their decision, and I want to make sure clear that the Racing and Gaming Commission knows that we're in favor of the Cedar Crossings casino.
And first of all, we have actual 2 votes that we're talking about. A, they have to vote on, will there be a license at all? Will Cedar Rapids get a license? And then B, who does get the license? So we'll go back to the first question. Do you think the Racing and Gaming Commission has a year changed anybody's mind? Do you think Cedar Rapids will even have a shot at a license?
Well, it's the same 5 people. We thought maybe during the 3-year period that the governor may appoint some different people to the commission, but it's the same 5 people. So what's changed in the last 3 years? Well, one, the state's broke. They're borrowing money to, pay their bills now. So that may influence them to have a casino to bring in more revenue to the state. That's really the only thing that's changed. The casino that was proposed by Wildrose was proposed to minimize the impact on Riverside, and that was the main reason that they stated last time Cedar Rapids didn't get a license.
But does that boutique concept it's not going to flood the coffers with a whole lot of money, though? I mean, so is it really going to affect their decision?
Well, my position is I want to try to find something that's going to maximize the benefit to Cedar Rapids, and that's what the Cedar Crossings Casino did, and it actually maximizes the benefit to the state. And we were going to use that money to help the revenue the city got to help build flood protection.
Right.
And, here we are a year ago this month, we were building HESCO barriers to protect our community. And Congress is passing a bill right now to help out Hurricane Harvey victims, and there isn't one penny in there for Cedar Rapids flood protection. So we're going to have to find ways to fund this ourselves, and we thought the larger destination casino would do that. If the Racing and Gaming Commission takes the minimum approach, the minimum impact on Riverside, the minimum impact on Cedar Rapids, the minimum impact on the state, I just think that's a different way of thinking, and I'd rather maximize everything versus minimize everything.
So I guess what they're thinking is we would be more likely to get a license if it's a smaller casino, boutique, whatever the words are. But I think if we do this, we need to do this right or not do this at all. And maybe that's not the approach we should have. But if we're going to do this, if we're going to get a license, let's build a resort. Let's build a place that people are going to want to go to, not just cater to the degenerate gamblers with slot machines and a few blackjack tables.
Well, I feel the same way. Now, some people would say, well, get your foot in the door, right? At least get something started. But if you look at the property that they're proposing, the small casino, it's really landlocked. You can't go east or west or north or south, so there's really not much opportunity for it to grow. And so you're really going to, pigeonhole yourself to just having a small casino that doesn't have any amenities to it. It would serve the purpose of people that like to play slot machines. They would have local access, but as far as the overall impact of the community, it's very minimal. So the Racing and Gaming Commission decides. Unfortunately, they have a lot of power. There's 5 of them. They're non-elected, so 3 of them decide whether there's going to be a license and who that license operator is. And I just feel there should be some local input onto who the operator is, so the Gaming Commission can decide the license, but let the local community decide who the operator is. And I like the fact that we have local investors in this Cedar Crossings, and we're This week Rockwell announced that they were being purchased by United Technologies, and a lot of people were concerned about, well, what's going to happen with the local presence, the corporate headquarters? Is it going to be different? And there's a lot of concern from people. So there is value of having local control and local ownership.
So in your opinion, the better way to approach this would be for the Gaming Commission to decide whether it's going to grant a license or not, and then let the people look at the two plans and vote. Am I understand what you're saying?
Yeah, that's like a bifurcated approach where they don't have all the control.
Exactly.
And, it was the citizens in the first place of Lynn County that voted with a supermajority several years ago.
That's
and,
right.
Of course, the Cedar Crossings people were the ones that brought their casino to the voters, did all the work. And I kind of feel like the Wildrose people cut in line to try and get their casino ahead of the local casino. And that I gave them a chance, let them let their proposal be vetted through the Racing and Gaming Commission, but now it's time to decide whether we get a license and then who gets it. I just like to, let the Racing and Gaming Commission know that I personally, based on my analysis, think it should be the Cedar Crossings Casino, and it actually should be the original one that we were trying to build on the west side.
That. And you go back to the last time this was brought up for licensing. If you remember, we didn't get a casino in Cedar Rapids, but guess who did? The Wildrose folks did. And what city is that in? Jefferson, Iowa. They got one the same time frame. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was really a shocker to us.
Yeah.
They told us that the market's saturated. There's not enough room for any more casinos. It's just going to cannibalize the other casinos, and they told us no. And then a month later, they told Jefferson, Greene County, yes. And so that really bothered us because we thought, well, gee, does this group have some type of better connections to the Racing and Gaming Commission than our local group did?
I'm all for Cedar Crossing, too, and not just because of the affiliation we have for the concert. They're bringing Brett Michaels to town. But what I do like what they're doing is they're telling the local residents, this is what we're going to do if we do business in this town. We're going to put on. We're going to give you great entertainment. We're going to give you things like that. But as I say that, I just got a text from a local businessman who owns a bar on 6th Street. And he says, James, no casinos. It hurts small businesses. So what can you say to that person who's been in this market for years and they struggle to get by some months? What do you say to that small business owner as these big, mighty casinos come into town?
Well, I think that's one of the values of having it locally run versus owned from outside of the community. There's a greater sensitivity there, and the Cedar Crossings people actually want to partner with the local business community. So that's number one, I would say. Certainly there's only so many entertainment dollars in a community, but for Cedar Rapids, I would think his point would be a little stronger if we weren't a growing community,
right.
But we are growing in a population. So if you look at maybe a small town like Emmitsburg where there's a casino, I think that argument probably has greater strength.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you,
Mayor
guys.
Ron Corbett.
Thanks,
Last
Ron.
question: when you're traveling all over the state, what kind of music do you got in the iPod shuffle? Is there some Bruce Springsteen in there? What are you listening to as you're going all over the state?
You ask me that question all the time, and I tell you my favorite bands, Fleetwood Mac, Eagles, and Marshall Tucker.
Nice.
I love it. I just like to hear it again so that the new listeners can always remember that we've got a very cool mayor.
I still have a crush on Stevie Nicks. I always will.
That's Mayor Ron Corbett. Thanks for stopping by. Good
Thank
luck
you.
on your run to be the next governor of the Hawkeye State. We'll be right back with more after this.